Might be a few stragglers.
Sorry.
Thanks, brother. She doesn't want to be like.
Okay, everybody have a friend that you're sharing a card with, or a person that you're sharing a card with. Might not be a friend. Your card should have two quotes on it, one on the front, one on the back. They should be different quotes. If the sports staff was doing their job correctly, they should be different quotes. And what I want you to do is just read the quote and discuss it with your partner. So just read each of the quotes, and this won't take very long, but just discuss what that means, what the quote means to you. And then the second question is, one is what the quote means to you. The second question is, what does this have to do with Bonner? Why would I have chosen the quote that I chose? Okay, what does the quote mean, and what does that have to do with Bonner's? Ready, set, go.
You first.
Okay, take about one more minute so you can finish your sentence but not your paragraph. One more minute. Okay, thank you for participating. I want you to hold your thoughts till the end of the presentation. We'll come back sort of as a bookend to see what, after the presentation, what you think maybe your quote has to say about the Bonner program. I want to give you just a little bit of background which will explain why I'm talking about appreciative inquiry. My PhD is in organizational communication, and part of what I've done in my life is corporate training. And corporate training is really great. It's better than teaching, because in teaching you have to really care if the students learn it and use it. But in corporate training, you go in, you deliver your product, you leave, and you really don't care whether the company implements anything that you say. And they write you a nice check, and you fly home, and you have a steak dinner, and it's all good. So I don't know why that I didn't keep doing that, but nevertheless, I kept teaching, and as my administrative responsibilities got greater, I really didn't have time to do the training on the side. But about a decade ago, I was introduced to a way of viewing the world. It's sort of a philosophy. But it's a philosophy that you can sink your teeth into and can change not only you, but it can change the organizations or the groups that you work with. And that's called appreciative inquiry. So all I can do in about 30 minutes is tease you a little bit, just give you a taste of what that might look like, but also give you enough that if you wanted to start practicing it in your work with the Honors Program, with your family, with your community groups, with your friends in the dorm, you could certainly do that. So let's look just a little bit about what it means to say appreciative inquiry, and you can probably figure this out. In an organization, you focus on what's working. In your family relationships, you focus on what's working. Not what's broken, but what's working. You inquire about what's working. And so the concept, questions are fateful, is a pretty important concept because we move in the direction of the questions we ask. And one thing we can do is choose the questions we ask. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But questions are very fateful to our interpersonal relationships and to our work relationships. Appreciative inquiry chooses the positive as the focus of inquiry. So a couple questions that you might ask as you're thinking about community groups that you work with. What do you want more of? What's working, which should be what you want more of. And whatever we focus our attention on, we will create more of it. Whatever we focus our attention on, we will create more of it. So I'll give you an example from Avon Corporation. Avon Corporation was having a problem with sexual harassment. So they decided they'd bring in trainers, corporate trainers, to train people about what is sexual harassment and how do you fill out a complaint and when is it and when is it not. And what they found was the more that they trained people on what it was, what do you think happened? Complaints went up. Now, part of that is people are saying, oh, I'm being sexually harassed, or oh, now I know where to go to complain about it. But they weren't solving the problem. They were just focusing more on the problem. So they reframed the question. So they said, what do you want more of? We know we want less sexual harassment. So we would monitor that by the complaints going down. But that's not working to focus on that. So what do we really want more of? And what Avon Corporation came up with is they wanted more respectful working relationships between men and women. That's what they wanted more of. And if you have respectful working relationships between men and women, sexual harassment is going to go down because you're respecting each other and seeing each other as equals. And so then they started doing training on how do you demonstrate respect in a professional relationship. And when they did that, the number of complaints went down. So it's not ignoring the problem, but it's focusing on what you want more of. So let's look a little bit about, and this is one of my favorite parts. There's several pieces to it, but this is one of my favorite parts, which is reframing the question. I'm going to give you 2 examples, and I'm going to let you come up with one. Faculty example. I love faculty. Faculty are trained to be critical thinkers, but sometimes they think that means they're trained to be critical, and they don't go quite far enough. They like to look for what's wrong. And that's just how most faculty are wired, and that's part of their training and their research. So if a faculty member comes out of a class and I say, hey, how was class? Human nature is going to be that they focus on the what?
Negative.
The negative. Oh, the students weren't prepared, and so-and-so fell asleep, and so-and-so's missed a bunch of class, and all that may be true. But if I say to the faculty member, what was the best thing that happened in class today? I've reframed the question. What was the best thing that happened in class today? Well, the only thing I can predict from that question is hopefully they'll start with the positive. And so they'll think of something good that happened. And then, hopefully, in my opinion, before they get to the negative, because eventually we get there, the phone will ring, or they'll have to go to their next class, or something else will happen, and we won't dwell on the negative. Now, if something really bad happened in class, like if 2 students got in a fight in class, they're going to tell me. The negative is going to come out if it's bad enough. But if I ask that question, what is the best thing that happened, we're going to have a positive conversation. It's going to last longer. We're going to walk away energized because we focused on the positive. Family example.